Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Untitled Reviews. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about The Bear, Season 2, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, this is kind of a rough episode for Sid. It's kind of I think it's so interesting. Because obviously, Carmen's the one that gave her the suggestion of like, hey, let's go kind of cleanse our palates. Our palates are screwed. Because I guess it's like, right, we're not really, because the dish they were working on, she kind of marinated it too long and it's too salty. I think just like last time, it was too salty, too much salt. So now it's like, right, we got to kind of reboot our palates and just kind of start fresh and kind of like, because I think it's like we're already trying to build off of stuff. It's like, right, we kind of have to start from the bottom again and kind of work our way up. And the thing is, Carmen suggested that, and Sid's the one was like, okay, let's do that. And he kind of bailed on her last second. It's like, it's your suggestion, and you bailed on me. You're telling me like, oh, go do the hiring thing or take the day off, whatever I want to do. It's like, okay. So she's going to all these different places. Some places she has connections to because of Carmen. Like, it's like, oh, like Carmen set this up. It's like, oh yeah, you're Carmen's sous chef. And other places seem to be places she worked at, or at least people she's worked with maybe in the past, like that dude Donning. But the problem is each place she went had a story about someone, like, yeah, the reason why things didn't work out, because she's stressing, because a lot, like, I mean, it's natural to already feel a certain way about, once again, a restaurant and, like, not working out. I think I brought it up in a previous episode. I don't know what the statistic is of restaurants that don't work out, but it seems like it's in a massive margin of like restaurants that don't work. Even ones that have been around for a very long time. You heard like there's some that have been around for decades that had such long history ended up closing, mainly because of the pandemic. Like the pandemic screwed over a lot of businesses, obviously in the confines of the show, but that was also like in real life. There's a lot of like, especially like mom and pop places that did not survive. There's even franchise places that didn't survive. Like, it's like, yeah, they're part of like I said, there's specific franchises that like might not have survived and had to close down or even relocate. So Sid's already got that going through her mind naturally, but especially because this is like a new venture, at least like beef. Like the beef, it's like, yeah, that's somewhere you start. Like that was already kind of a pre-established thing. Doesn't make it any easier, but now it's like, it's worse because like you're literally starting from the ground up, doing a lot of repairs and stuff. You're trying to get it done in the next 12 weeks. Now it's 11 weeks. Last episode was 12 weeks. This episode's 11 weeks. So it's like, excuse me. It's definitely not going to be a situation of every episode's going to be like a week later. Maybe it will be. Some episodes will probably skip ahead a little bit. We'll see. But nevertheless, like I said, Sid's just kind of stressing about that, especially because her dad brought it up last episode. And there's even this moment later on where Sid's sitting with her, sitting and eating like an ice cream. It looks like it was a Sundae. I think that's actually the name of the episode. And she sees a mom and a daughter hanging out. And I think it's in this moment, Sid wishes she had someone she could really talk to. Because the entire day she's doing this, like, tasting stuff, hearing from different people and like kind of what they could do to kind of make, you know, the bear better, like what they should be working on and stuff like that. I mean, plus they're also trying to get staff, like kind of people like front staff, back staff, especially because like, well, they need a lot of hands-on deck type of situation, especially because Ibra and Tina are off at the school right now. Her and Carmi were even like talking about like, yo, we could send like Marcus to a Copenhagen to kind of like train and kind of work on desserts and stuff, because that's where most restaurants apparently fail. At least that's, I guess, based on like Sid's research. But my point is, she kind of didn't have anyone she could talk to. Like, you know, with this, like, I think at least Carmen, like, being there would help. But now it's like you're doing this alone. And I think it feels a little too much like retreaded history, because what did she do on her own before? It kind of like crashed and burned. So I think she kind of feels a little like that. And she doesn't have her mom. Her mom, she could probably like, you know, talk to about this stuff. Like at least she could have her mom to, hey, we could talk. And I mean, for one, it's just like a little girl and she was fairly young when her mom died. So of course that's going to strike a chord. But I think, like I said, I think it's just, I don't have anyone else to really kind of connect with in this moment. Because even her dad, like, has his reservations about the whole thing, and she probably, at least she probably thinks, if I could talk to my mom would probably not be as, like, worried as dad is. Like, dad's just kind of like, oh, you sure about this? Like, oh, the backup plan being the only plan, like that whole conversation last episode, which I think that just adds even more stress to the situation for Sid, that it's like, oh God, why does it have to? Oh, I'm also curious, like those people she was meeting this episode at those 3 specific restaurants. Like, are those feel like those are probably actual restaurants? Like 2 of those. Her friend that was kind of like, oh yeah, like, so you're doing your solo thing. It's like, no, I'm not really solo. I'm like, and like, they felt like they were actual restaurants. Like, those feel like real chefs and stuff like that. So I could be 100% mistaken that maybe they just are actors, but it felt so real that I'm like, it feels like those are probably like real legitimate restaurants in Chicago. And, those probably like aren't even actors. Those are probably like real chefs playing themselves type of situation, or maybe they're playing like a fictitious version of themselves. Or I don't know. But getting back to what I was kind of saying is like, yeah, everyone had the same advice of like, oh yeah, be careful about your partner. Literally 3 different people brought up the whole partner thing of like, oh yeah, like I'm partnered with someone. It's like, oh really? What's the split situation? Like, oh, it's not even like that. Okay, yeah, we're just like working together. Oh, okay, cool. As long as you know, because one person was like, yeah, we got screwed over by a partner. They stole all our money, and like, cause he's like, yeah, me and my wife had a restaurant. Our business partner stole all of our money and went to Hawaii. The other person was like, yeah, I kind of you got to make sure you trust your business partner. It's like that keeps coming up, hammering home. Especially the next episode after she had that conversation with her dad, being like, he's like, do you trust your partner? And she's like, yeah, of course. And now it's like, yeah, not only was he not here for you today, he kind of bailed on you. Now you've got all this advice too. Like, I mean, I'm sure Sid's kind of bringing in a lot of stuff from season 1 of like her and Carmi. They worked through that, but I'm sure that still plays some part. It's also like, right, he kind of bailed on you the last second and there's been no communication. You're texting him like, yo, call me. So on and so forth. So that doesn't ease your mind even more. So like later on when she shows up and it's like, wait, what'd you guys do? She's like, yeah, we had to tear down the wall. There was rot, there was roaches, there was this, there were raccoons. She's like, plural raccoons. It's like, yeah. And so what'd you do? It's like, yeah, we tore down the whole wall. It's like, yeah. Oh, okay. So that's what we did. And Carmen's like, wait, is there a problem? It's like, yeah, you could have called me. It's like, oh, so next time you want me to call you when there's a situation, like when we decide to unilaterally just take down a wall because there's literally nothing we can do. She's like, no, it's a pretty big, like, conversation. It's just you didn't include me in it, which Carmen doesn't know. Like, obviously he does the, the sign for, the whole sorry thing that I think it was like the last episode that came up, right? Either way, it's just Carmen doesn't know, like, that just added more fuel to the fire, like, kind of like, yeah, you're kind of leaving me out of important conversations like that. It's just, I think it is a thing of that kind of has to be unilaterally made, but it's a dynamic of a partnership of like, right, we're supposed to be partners in this, but Carmen probably like doesn't view it in this way because it's like, it's about a wall that no one can do it. Like, why should I inform you about a wall? Like, yeah, I'll let you know when you show up here, but it's not something I'm going to call you about. But it's also, I've been trying to get in contact with you all day, and you sent me one message being like, yo, sorry, I'm bailing. Do whatever you want to do. And then, like, I try to contact you throughout the entire day, and I get nothing. So, of course, that's going to cut even deeper. So, that's going to lead to some issues. Obviously, she's trying to prepare the meal that she was, like, trying to create in her head, and that didn't turn out right. So it's just like, once again, it's just like, it's not Sid's episode. It's just like, I mean, which is ironic to say because it is mainly Sid's episode, but it's just like, man, just things didn't go right. So that's kind of rough to look at. And especially when you find out why Carmen kind of bailed on her. And he didn't really explain. He's just like, yeah, sorry, like I kind of have to bail. He didn't really go like, oh, something came up. Didn't really explain what that was about. The moment his phone rang, I was like, please tell me it's Claire. And she's like, did you give me the wrong number? I was like, hell yeah, dude. I mean, to be fair, like, maybe I'm mistaken, but from what I remember from last episode, it was only off by a single digit. And of course you would never think to yourself, well, it's like that thing of like, okay, I go 1111111, 1111112, 1111. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you're not going to immediately think, like, oh, which I've done that before. I had a significant other in the past where, like, I had to, like, message her online one point in time. It was a long distance relationship. I was like, did you change your number? It was like, no, because I was getting it wrong by one digit. Which part of the number? Oh, I was flipping the middle part of the 3 digits in the middle of her number. I was flipping them. It was I'll go ahead and say it was like a 0 and a 4. I put them in the wrong place. So that was happening. Oh, no, it might have been, it was like, I think that was like the first part of her number. I was flipping the 4 and a 0, the first 3 digits. So that's one of those things, and that kind of like struck a chord with me a little bit. I didn't even think about that last episode when he gave her the wrong number until this episode. I love how she figured it out. I was like, oh, did you just like try the different numbers? Like I said, it was off by 1 digit at the end, but maybe because he changed the last number because it's like a 2 and he changed it to a 1, I believe, or maybe it was a 1 and changed it to a 2. I keep mixing that up, but like the reason why she found out his number is because she got it from Neil, which I love that. It's like, that's super cute. She's like, yeah, did you, and first and foremost, like, first thing is like, did you want me to not have your number? He's like, no, I want you to have your number. She's like, say it again. He's like, I want you to have my number. She's like, cool. Also, I need your help moving this stuff. It's like, yeah, okay. Which I thought, I really like that. It's kind of a bummer when he gave her the wrong number last episode, but it's also because he was like, yeah, like, I'm probably not going to run into you again. And yeah, because I think he was just he was scared. It was like a defense mechanism of just like, yeah, I'm going to give you the wrong number just because it's a lot easier, because I'm kind of going through my shit right now. I'm still dealing with everything after Mikey, and just now it's like the restaurant stuff. She's even asking like, oh, are you busy? And he's looking at the to-do list, and it's like, she's like, yeah, don't make this weird. Just like, tell me, like, and so it is that complicated thing where like the heart wants what the heart wants, but you're also like, your brain's kind of getting in the way of just kind of like, is this really what my heart wants? And I've got too much on my plate right now. And it's just like, dude, there's just a lot. Carmen's going through a lot himself and feeling a lot and dealing with a lot. He was at his meeting and he had talked a little bit about, opening, like, he's like, oh, I literally Googled the definition of fun. And he's like, yeah, it's not fun. He's like, no, it's basically, he was kind of like half joking of like, oh no, it's not fun. I'm just kidding. It is. But it's like, no, it's not. It's stressful. And it's just kind of like, it's one of those things of like, is it even fucking worth it? Just because of all the stress you're going to put yourself through, and especially on the tight deadline that you're on. So none of that helps. And so there's a situation of, he had talked about kind of being okay, and what was he was like, the last time he really remembered a lot of like fun and enjoyment in life and stuff like that was when he was younger, but his family kind of fucked it up. He was like, hey, they didn't do it on purpose. And I wonder, is he throwing his sister and brother into that or not? Or, and maybe even Richie, I mean, even though they're not like family, but, still like, right. He's like family. But I'm wondering, is that more specifically at mom and dad? Because he didn't say mom and dad. He said specifically family, so I'm assuming that Mike and Natalie kind of get lumped into that as well. Like they, but it's like, for him, it's like, my family tries too hard. Because I'm sure it's, even as an adult, because it's like, the reason why he's at those meetings in the first place is because Natalie has suggested it and kind of pushed him towards it, which, she was happy last season when she found out he was going to those meetings. But for him, it's like, the way he lives life, he has to like try and tell himself like, right, the other shoe isn't going to drop. Even though he's like, yeah, even though I keep trying to tell myself that, even though I know there is going to be another shoe to drop. That is the like conundrum of like, right, the sky isn't falling and everything, but it's like, no, but the sky is falling. Like, what do you do then? Like, you're like, I'm trying to tell myself that's not, the reality isn't what it is, because I don't want to be stuck in like a pessimistic spiral, but it's just like, yo, life is what it is, and it's shitty, and it can like drop you like a ton of bricks, so it's like, how do you fucking manage that? It's like, that's like the unnerving aspect of the show. It's just kind of like once again, the claustrophobia of like, especially, it feels like it's not as claustrophobic with the dialogue as it was in season 1, and once again, maybe that's just the kitchen in itself, but like the, not even manicness, I can't even put it into words, like there's like this like existential, like, I guess existential manicness that the show has. I can't put it into words. It's like this like unnerving feeling the show gives you, where you're just like, bleh, bleh. Like, you just want to fucking scream, because you're just like, I resonate with that, and I resonate with the characters, especially like Carmen, where it's just like, he's so calm and collected, except for the times when he blew up last season, but it's just like, I know you're a fucking ticking time bomb, just ready to explode at any moment in time, and I think that's just what, just kind of like, because it's stressful, and I think it's like, I've talked about this in something else recently too, where I'm like, I'm a fuck up in my own life where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, and I think just the fact of like putting your everything into something and it's stressing you out and it's stressing me out because it's too much like my own real life. I'm seeing too much parallels. I mean, which isn't like a direct parallel. I'm not trying to say it's the exact same situation, but the stress of like everything can come falling apart, and I have other aspects of my life that are stressing me out right now. So like watching a stressful show of people just kind of stressing out and I'm stressing out is just kind of making me a little manic. It's just a lot. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. Oh god, this show. Either way, I'm actually really surprised that we didn't see more of that Claire and Carmi thing. I think that's so interesting where it's like, it's one scene last episode, it's one scene this episode. So I think that's so interesting. So yeah. Like I said, Carmen's going through it, and as you can tell by this review, I'm going through it too. Oh god. Richie, interestingly enough, I'm wondering if Richie kind of likes the fact is that there's a little bit of like a tension, because he was looking at the whole Sid and Carmen thing and he's like, ooh, oh, kind of making fun of it. But I think it is a thing of, okay, so it, like, I think Richie kind of likes that not everything's super copacetic, because once again, I think it's one of those things where it's like, shit's not working out for you and you're kind of feeling a little lost, so it makes you feel a little better to be like, yo, this kind of, I mean, obviously they aren't the well-oiled machine, they're still figuring shit out, you know, so. We got a little bit with Ibra and Tina. She showed up, but Ibra bailed. Like I said, I think it's just kind of a lot for him because he feels like he doesn't belong here. Because he was kind of finding his own lane, but now he's at a school where he's going to be judged and stuff like that. Like, obviously at the beef, it was like, yo, the things were like super easy and so on and so forth. Obviously things are changing, and now being put in this position where it's just like, I don't know if I deserve to be here. I feel like I don't, like, it's a lot for Ibra. So, and like I said, Tina's up for this challenge, but Ibra kind of isn't. I forgot to talk about it, but I love the whole thing about Sid showing up. Like when she was walking past these workers, she's like, yo, you guys heard about that beef place? Like, I was just wondering. The guy's like, yo, are you really poaching like people in front of me? I was like, she's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. And just walks away. He's like, Jesus. I was like, Dad, that was super fucked, Sid. That is so awkward. Oh, God. Because she had asked someone else, and it's like, one dude was like, yeah, I think it was the Donnie dude being like, yo, like, yeah, the people who work here have been working here for years, but it's like, if anyone else is kind of like, you know, newcomers are coming in or whatever, I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna send you your way, because it's like, it hasn't worked out for him. It's like, oh, did anyone show up? And it's like, yeah, people like reps about stuff, that's about it. And it's like, facts like, yeah, it was people who weren't nice, and it's like, yeah. I even love the whole Marcus being like, oh yeah, looking forward to it. Facts like, you looking forward to it? He's like, I don't know why I said that. I never said that in my life. He's like, well, I hope you're looking forward to pushing this with me. So I love that. But going back to Richie really quickly, he's with his daughter, Ava. It's like, oh, I heard your mom got stuck on Zoom. And it's like, yeah, she's got a promotion. And Uncle Frank, which Uncle Frank sounds like, quote, Uncle Frank. It's like, that's a family friend, which there might be something going on between him and Richie's baby mama, but that's why, because even he was like, okay, Uncle Frank's proud of her, yeah. And I even love his daughter quoting like, yeah, mom's got a raise, yeah, but you still gotta pay child support because Farrah's like, that's super fucked for a kid to say. Because she put on a voice, so it sounded like she was quoting her mom there, and Richie's kind of like, yeah, okay. He's like, I will take care of you no matter what, I love you. And she's like, I know, Dad. And he's like, I love you. I love Taylor Swift too, but I needed a break, you know, which is timely, I guess, in some, just like what was I watching recently where someone was talking about like, yo, like, I don't know if it's like an old story or not, where it was just like, oh yeah, apparently the Swifties, like, there was something on like the earthquake scale that the Swifties were going so hard at like a concert or whatever, it kind of like registered. Because we just had that many fucking people bouncing up and down. I don't know if that's like a old story as in like that happened a couple months ago, or that's super. I was watching something, but I don't know when it was recorded, so I don't remember if that's something like super recent or not. I mean, it's Taylor Swift, dude. She's a megastar, so it's like, of course she's gonna come up. Especially because like, right, like your daughter is in that demo to like be a major Swiftie, you know, keep it on repeat. Either way. I'm so interested to see where the next episode ultimately ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good